Hey, how y'all doing? Jason Ricci, and I'm here today to talk to you about this thing they call half steps. I guess I'll mostly be talking to you about how to use half steps in the blues. So you got to know first what a whole step and a half step is. Well, half steps are the smallest measurement of music that we have in the West, and the easiest way to describe it is it's like Jaws, like. That's the most famous half-step tune. But a lot of times there are half steps where we as harmonica players tend to use whole steps, and there's ways you can slide in half steps as passing tones. So I guess that's kind of what today's lesson is going to be about, which is how to use half steps as a passing tone. So a great one to first start on is this two-draw bend. Now when we bend the two-draw all the way down, this is an A harmonica, Suzuki Manji. When we bend the harmonica all the way down on the two-draw, it sounds like this. At a half step, it sounds like this. So I kind of use this little tuh sound to separate my bends. I do this by putting my tongue against the roof of my mouth, getting just behind my two front teeth on the top. And that's a lot of how I get my tone, is this little tuh thing, but I also use it to separate my bend notes. So here's a cool way to use one. Now, a lot of times I'm sure you guys have heard blues harmonica players like to use the two-draw bend, okay, or the five-draw at the end of a phrase on the one chord just before the band moves to the five chord. In other words, on the last two bars or the last bar of four, the musician, harmonica player in our case, will play the two-draw bent or the five-draw, which we call the seven, okay, the flat seven. The reason is it's a seventh chord, okay, that accentuates the seven chord. A cool way, before you play that two-draw bend all the way down, a cool way to get to that is to half step into it. And so, you know, you can make your phrase sound, I'm going to play 4 bars of 1. See that? And then I would go to the 4. Okay, so there were some examples. That was the example of that half step bend back in, going into the 4 chord. Anyway, so another cool way to use half steps is to, for that same half step there, which is what we call a major 7. Another cool way to use that major 7 is to just use it as a chromatic run up to the 1 chord. Like, you know, on Paul Butterfield's Born in Chicago. That's just one draw, two draw bend, a whole step, 2 draw, bend, a half step, and then 2 draw. Now you can move it to the 4. You start on the 2 draw, play the 3 draw, bent, a half step, 3 draw, bent, 3 draw by itself, and then 4 blow. And then for the 5 chord, start on the 3 draw, bent, a half step, go to the 4 blow, the 4 draw, bend, the 4 draw. Now we're playing half steps all over the place, not just on the 1, but on the 4 and on the 5. And what you do is you start to use, like that song, that Born in Chicago song, almost like a set of 3 little scales, and you make your solos out of those notes. All right, so there was a quick little lesson on using half steps. I'll do more on this subject, but let's keep it short and sweet. Half steps. All right, have fun with them, and write me if you got any questions.